This one will hit it fast. Try to hit a section in there at 4:15 mile pace. So. Hi there, Coach Sage Canaday of SageRunning.com here with a running form tutorial analysis. We're going to be running pretty fast today, and I've done a whole playlist of these running form technique tips. Check them out. We'll link to the playlist as well as subscribe on here for more of these types of videos. Running form's a real individual thing, and it does depend a bit on what your race pace is or how fast you are running relative. And today I'm going to hit it pretty fast. I'm going to go at my 5K PR pace, about 440 per mile pace or 254 per kilometer pace. In the first rendition, we'll get some nice side view shots, hopefully analyze it in slow motion, look at foot strike, knee or hip extension, pelvic tilts, things like that, arm motion. Then we're gonna hit it really fast at mile race pace. My 1500 PR pace was 355 for 1500, converts to about a 415 mile. I extrapolated there. The 415 mile pace, we're gonna do it for about 200 meters. So we're looking at a 32 second 200, 31 second 200. And for the 5K pace, we're looking at we're gonna do about 34 seconds for 200 meters, about an eighth of a mile. And so let's get out on the bike. If you're doing this, if you're analyzing your own form, you may have some similarities or differences from me. That's okay, I'll get into the analysis in a bit here. But the idea is to get a good side view shot. Moving is ideal. Maybe on a treadmill, not think about it too much. You don't want to overthink it. And to also get a rear view shot. A rear view moving shot is great, but if on a treadmill you could do it, you look at that foot action, you look at your lower limb mechanics, as well as the whole body. And we'll get into the physics and applied anatomy. Been a bit of a nerd on this, making running form videos for the last decade here on this YouTube channel. So let's get started. Oh, also, I'm wearing the Hoka One One Rihi shoe. It's a lightweight, flexible shoe. The type of shoe you wear will change your form a bit. And I'm actually gonna go shirtless so you can see the arch in my back better and see the separation between my arms and my torso as well.
All right, so here we are accelerating into 440 per mile pace, 254 per kilometer pace, and stride rate or cadence, how many steps I take in a minute, is up to 200. I saw this from the STRAVA segment data I got on this, and that's a little high for me personally. Most times I'd like to see it probably closer to 190 or in the 190s, given prior data. And for a lot of people, this is a struggle, and they're actually too slow on their stride rate or cadence. And if you're in the 160s, even 170s, it might be a little too slow. But it depends on how fast you're running, how fast your 5K pace is, and what your experience level is as well. But over 200, definitely on the high side. It means I'm not getting very much power in my stride. Now, the slow motion freeze frame, we could see this toe off position, we'll call it, my right leg toeing off the ground. We have a slight forward lean with the body, probably could work on more forward lean. And springing off that right toe, the toe off, it would be better if this leg was back towards the green line more. Talking about this hip extension, the top of the thigh going back more. So ideally it would be farther back, and I'd have a longer stride at toe off. And so we're working on that flexibility still, hip mobility, hip flexor flexibility, especially the front of the quad. I have a lot of tightness in the front of this quad here, rectus femoris, it's the muscle specifically, as well as in the stomach. There's a lot of tightness, I feel it. It's caused some hip and lower glute back issues, so that's probably kind of sapping some of that movement on extension. The other thing we see here, this leg, high knee lift, not super high. It's not bad though, because we're not sprinting, right? We're distance runners. If you're sprinting, obviously your cadence is going to be well over 200, and you're going to have a super high knee lift with this driving forward leg. But this angle is fine. We're just trying to increase the separation between the two legs, basically, to get a longer stride. The other thing we could see from this is this foot, which is about to go down and hit the ground, it's not flexed very well in what we call dorsiflexion. That is, the toes angled pretty far downward. It's not too bad though, so we're not going to focus on it too much, but we're talking about this ankle extension. This foot was angled up more, maybe more at this angle, there'd be more of dorsiflexion. So we'll move on to the next frame here. All right, we moved through the stride phase here. Next step over, we could see more of that heel strike again. This foot's coming down a little more level, so it's not going to be a super bad heel strike. Again, kind of reaching out too far in front of my body, but the real tightness, the hip tightness of this trailing leg is showing, as well as what we call anterior pelvic tilt. That is, I got this pretty big arch in my lower back, and you could definitely see it better when you don't have a shirt on. So this pelvis, basically the back of your pelvis, back end, top end, is elevated relative to the front end. And of course you're going to get this with a bit of a forward lean. A lot of really fast runners have a lean and a tilt like this, but mine's been shown to be a little bit excessive, and it tends to put too much strain. It tends to show probably that there's a lot of tightness in the psoas and the hip flexors going into the front of the quad here. And if you have too much of a tilt, shown by this yellow line, it's excessive with the lower arch in the lower back, then you're probably not getting very good hip extension, hip mobility, and you might be not utilizing your butt muscles, your glutes, as well as your hamstrings as much as you could be, and instead you're relying on the quad and some of the hip flexors to take some of the strains. So it just generally saps efficiency if you have an excessive anterior pelvic tilt. That being said, forward lean is good. Some tilt is definitely necessary, but just looking at the pelvis, this is what I see in this phase of the stride cycle. All right, so the other key with trying to film yourself is you want to keep the camera pretty level and at right angles. We had it tilted a little here on the moving shots, so that's why there's this space. I had to try to readjust the angle so it actually looks like I'm running on a flat surface, which I was. But we see here, a bit of a heel strike. That's okay. It's a little far out in front of the body, and a little bit of a heel strike isn't horrible, though. A lot of people will land almost at the same time on their whole foot, and it really is better if it's back towards your center of gravity, center of mass, but I'm reaching out a little too far there. Now on the back kick leg, we were talking about that ankle action, that foot action. We see that my foot is still kind of flexed, which is kind of weird. It used to not be like that, but I don't think it's an efficient thing. It would be better if this foot was more in line with this green line, what we call plantar flexion. So it's the opposite of dorsiflexion. But that's usually just kind of a reaction to after this leg pushes off the ground, the foot's kind of just moving back before it recoils forward. And so usually you see better toe extension there. It shouldn't be pointing down until it actually passes back under my body. So it's interesting to see that. You're seeing track runners running in track spikes really fast. You usually see that toe pointed really well straight back. It just makes it a shorter lever, and it's also indicative of maybe how much force you pushed off on toe off. So that's an interesting thing to note as well. All right, changing to the rear view trailing angle. We had troubles keeping the camera level in this, as well as showing full foot action, foot ground contact action. But what you could see here is what we call pronation, how much this foot rolls inward on impact. I'm pretty neutral. If anything, I tend to supinate a little, which is the opposite of overpronate. If you see someone that pronates a lot, generally this angle between the green and the yellow line would be even more exaggerated. There'd be more of a lean in to the inside with my ankle, but this is pretty neutral. The abnormal thing I do have kind of is this foot action on the back kick leg. I kind of have to twist my leg inward, my foot inward, as I bring it forward, so it looks like it's up there near the center of the butt line, basically. But that's a minor thing. Some people splay outwards with their foot a lot more, and in a prior video I actually had more splay. So running at a faster pace, I have more foot inward turn. Not going to worry about it too much. What we do worry about though is hip drop. And I kept my heart rate monitor on my chest, that strap on my chest. I drew a black line here right through it, pretty level with the upper body there. What you see with this orange line is that there's some hip drop, which could indicate some weakness in actually the plant leg, the left leg hip, especially the glute medius, glute minimus, could be a little weak because it's not stabilizing the pelvis to be more level. Now, it doesn't have to exactly be level, but if you have excessive hip drop, if this orange line was tilted even more and really not parallel to this black line, you'd see excessive hip drop. Could be a weakness in that left glute. Minimus and medius are kind of stabilizers. And so you see this right hip is down lower than my left hip, and that's when the left leg is on the ground. If it was the opposite, there'd be more tilt going the other way, and that's the analysis. You're looking at some of the things with the rear view as well as whole body tilt, right? If we drew a line straight up, you know, pretty in line, it's not too bad.
So this one, we'll hit it fast, try to hit a section in there at 4:15 mile pace. So
So a lot of people say, oh, what's this detailed analysis for? Like, running's a simple sport. And it really is. That's the beauty and joy of it. Just go out and run, enjoy things. Don't overthink things, and don't think that you have to do any radical changes. Like I said, everyone's form is going to be a little bit different. We're all different genetically and biomechanically, and your most efficient form may be very different looking than someone else's most efficient form, right? We can't all run like Kipchoge, probably not. So the efficiency is important, but staying healthy and not getting injured is really the most important thing. And so if you keep getting injured, that might be a sign that there's something wrong in your form. And again, it's good to analyze these things in slow motion, take some still shots, and try to figure it out that way. The pain will tell you something, though. The pain will tell you something. So it's not just about running faster and running more efficiently, applying physics and basic human anatomy to see common themes with efficient, fast runners who don't get injured, but to maximize your own potential and to get more enjoyment out of the sport of running.
all right, so thanks for watching this running form analysis tutorial. I've got other ones. Check out the playlist, subscribe on here for more of these types of videos. Thanks to Coach Sandy, my partner at sagerunning.com. She also has a YouTube channel, Running Wild, which will teach you some exercises and drills when you think about fixing some aspects of your running form. And it's a tricky thing. Again, you don't want to overthink it. Everyone's individual biomechanics are a bit different. You got to work with your body and your different strengths and weaknesses, and realize if you're not getting injured a lot and you don't feel a lot of pain, then you probably don't want to change your form too much, right? But look at things like stride rate or cadence, how many steps you take in a minute. See how it differs at different paces, like your 5K race pace or your marathon race pace on a flat road. So that's kind of the idea of what to do. Make sure you're not getting pain. Make sure you're not making any changes too fast. And again, check out our other videos. Check out Sandy's channel, Running Wild, for exercises to be a strong athlete, all-around athlete, any service, any distance. Thanks so much for subscribing on here. Thanks for all the Patreon supporters for making this channel possible. Wish you all the best in health and wellness. And check out our training plans on sagerunning.com. Any service, any distance. Thanks again. See you next time.